They say betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from family. Tonight, in a rain-battered penthouse 47 floors above the city, Jaquan is about to learn just how deep that knife can go. One signature. That's all it would take to destroy him. But in the moment before ink touches paper, a trembling waitress will whisper 3 words that change everything. Don't sign that. What happens next will unravel an empire, expose a nightmare, and force 2 strangers to become something neither expected, survivors. Stay until the end. Hit that like button. Drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Because what you're about to hear, you won't believe where it goes. The rain hammered against the windows like it had a grudge. 47 floors up, the penthouse suite of the Meridian Tower felt removed from the world below. Insulated, quiet, deadly. Lightning flickered across the skyline, throwing harsh shadows across the mahogany conference table where Jaquan sat, perfectly still. He'd stopped feeling things 3 days ago. Not completely. Just the important things. Fear, regret, the instinct to run. Those had been ground down to nothing by 72 hours of watching his organization bleed out from a wound he couldn't locate. Phone calls from lieutenants reporting disappearing shipments, bank accounts frozen, safe houses raided with precision that smelled like inside information. The syndicate his father built over 30 years was collapsing in real time, and Jay couldn't stop it. So he'd done the only thing that made sense. He'd called Victor. His uncle sat across from him now, impeccable in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than most people earned in 6 months. Victor Kwan had always dressed like he was attending a funeral. His or someone else's, it didn't matter. At 63, he maintained the kind of rigid posture that came from military academies and old-world discipline. His silver hair was combed back precisely. His expression betrayed nothing. "You're doing the right thing," Victor said, sliding the folder across the polished wood. "Your father would understand." Jay doubted that. His father would have burned the city down before signing anything, but his father was 10 years dead, and Jay was 32 years old, in charge of an empire he'd never wanted and couldn't save. The folder was thin, deceptively simple. Asset transfer agreement and reorganization plan. 23 pages that would dissolve Jay's control, transfer operations to a management consortium Victor had assembled, and guarantee protection for the 140 men still loyal to the Kwan name. In exchange, Jay would walk away. Alive. Free. Irrelevant. "The people we're working with," Victor continued, "they have reach. Federal cooperation. They can make the investigations disappear, but only if you sign tonight. Tomorrow, the offer expires." Jay stared at the pen Victor had placed beside the folder. Mont Blanc. Black lacquer with gold trim. The same kind his father used to sign contracts back when contracts meant something. "What about the men?" Jay asked. His voice came out rougher than intended. "Protected. I told you. Full amnesty for anyone who cooperates with the transition. No arrests, no retaliation. They'll be absorbed into the new structure or paid out. Clean. And me? You disappear. New identity, new city. I'd suggest Europe. You always liked Prague." Jay had been to Prague once, for 4 days, 12 years ago. He barely remembered it, but Victor remembered everything. That was his gift, the details other people missed. A soft knock interrupted them. Victor's expression tightened just slightly. "I said no interruptions." The door cracked open anyway. A young woman slipped through, mid-20s, dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, wearing the standard black and white uniform of the building's catering service. She carried a tray with coffee service, moving with the apologetic hunch of someone who knew they were intruding but had no choice. "I'm so sorry, sir," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "Manager sent me up. Said you requested—" "We didn't request anything." Victor's words could have frosted glass. The woman, her name tag read Maya, flinched but continued setting up the coffee service with shaking hands. "I'll just leave this and go. I'm sorry. I'm new. I didn't—" She fumbled the sugar bowl. It clattered against the tray with a sound like a gunshot in the quiet room. Jay watched her freeze, eyes wide, waiting for Victor's explosion. It didn't come. Instead, Victor smiled. The kind of smile that never reached his eyes. "It's fine. Leave it." Maya nodded, backing toward the door. Then she stopped. Jay saw it happen in her face. Some kind of internal decision being made in real time. Her eyes flicked to the open folder on the table, to the pen, to Jay. Back to the folder. "Don't sign that." The words came out quiet, desperate. The room went silent except for rain against glass. Victor stood up slowly. "Excuse me?" Maya's hands were shaking worse now, but she didn't move. "The document. Don't sign it, please." Jay felt something shift in his chest, the first real feeling in days. Not quite hope, more like curiosity sharpened to a point. "Who are you?" he asked. "I'm nobody. I'm just—" She swallowed hard. "I saw the papers when I came in. The header." "I recognized the law firm." "You recognized a law firm." Victor's voice went very soft. "From bringing coffee. I used to work in finance before I—" Maya cut herself off. "It doesn't matter. What matters is page 17. Section 11C. There's a liability clause that makes you personally responsible for all prior criminal activities if you sign. It's not a transfer agreement. It's a confession. The moment you sign, everything you've ever done becomes prosecutable, and the immunity clauses don't activate until the transition completes, which, according to the timeline, is 90 days. They'll arrest you before the protection kicks in. The silence stretched out like wire pulled too tight. Jay reached for the folder. Victor's hand shot out, pressing it flat against the table. "She's confused," Victor said. "Misread something. The stress of the job. Let me see it." Jay's voice came out cold. For 3 seconds, neither man moved. Then Victor released the folder with a small shrug. "Of course. Though I assure you, our attorneys vetted every word." Jay flipped to page 17. His eyes scanned the dense legal text. Looking for Section 11C, found it buried in the third paragraph, hidden between clauses about asset valuation and transfer protocols. Maya was right. The words were carefully constructed, layered with the kind of legal complexity designed to hide intent. But once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. The signature line wasn't consent to transfer. It was admission of criminal enterprise. Everything after was contingent on factors Victor controlled: timeline, cooperation benchmarks, third-party verification. He'd sign himself into a federal cell, and Victor would decide if he ever walked out. Jay looked up at his uncle. "How long have you been planning this?" Victor's expression didn't change. "I don't know what you think you see." "How long?" Something flickered behind Victor's eyes. Calculation, decision. Then he smiled, genuine this time. 18 months, he said, give or take. The admission hit like cold water. Jay felt his grip on the pen tighten until his knuckles went white. "The shipments," he said. "The raids, the frozen accounts. Me." Victor settled back in his chair, completely relaxed now. "Well, not personally. I contracted most of it out. But the strategy was mine. Controlled collapse. Death by 1,000 cuts. I needed you desperate enough to sign without reading too carefully. Tonight was supposed to be perfect. Private, urgent, emotional. You'd sign, I'd leave, and by tomorrow morning you'd be in federal custody while I consolidated control. The men you promised to protect will be fine. Most of them. The useful ones." Victor shrugged. "The rest are liabilities. This business, Jay, it's changing. Your father's generation built empires on loyalty and tradition. That's dead. The future belongs to people who understand that everything is negotiable, including family." Jay's hand moved toward his waistband, where he usually kept the Glock 19 he'd carried since he was 23. Victor noticed. "It's not there. I had someone remove it while you were in the bathroom earlier, along with your phone. The security feed in this room has been looped. Right now, according to every camera in this building, we're having a pleasant conversation over coffee. No witnesses, no evidence, no interruptions." He glanced at Maya, who'd pressed herself against the wall near the door. "Except her. That's unfortunate. I'll have to make a call about that." The threat hung in the air like smoke. Jay stood up. "You're not making any calls." "No?" Victor's hand moved inside his jacket. The gunshot was shockingly loud. Not from Victor. From the doorway. A man Jay didn't recognize stepped through, Compact build, dead eyes, suppressed pistol still raised. Victor's bodyguard, probably. The round had punched through the wall 6 inches from Jay's head, showering him with plaster dust. "Sit down," the gunman said. Jay didn't move. His mind was racing, cataloging options. The distance to the gunman, maybe 12 feet. Too far. No weapon. Victor had made sure of that. The windows were reinforced glass, no escape there. The door was blocked. His eyes found Maya, still frozen against the wall. She'd saved his life. Maybe only for a few minutes, but she'd done it anyway. Some waitress who recognized a law firm and cared enough to speak up when any sane person would have walked away. "Who are you really?" he asked her. Maya's voice came out shaky but clear. "I told you, nobody. Nobody doesn't read Section 11C in a contract and understand what it means. I worked at Lehman Brothers, before the crash, junior analyst. I was good at finding things people tried to hide." She laughed, high and thin. "Got me fired when I found the wrong things. Been working service jobs for 6 years. Victor made a disgusted sound. "This is touching, but we're on a schedule, mister." "Chen," the gunman adjusted his aim. "Center mass on Jay now." "Wait," Maya's voice cut through. "You can't kill him here." Victor raised an eyebrow. "I'm sorry, did I ask for input from the help?" "The cameras?" Maya said quickly. "You said they're looped, but the building's main security runs on a separate system. Thermal imaging in the elevator shafts and stairwells. It's a corporate anti-terrorism measure after 9/11. If you kill him, they'll see the body heat signature disappear. They'll see you leaving with one less person than you came with. It'll trigger an automatic alert to building security." Silence. Victor studied her. "How do you know that?" "I read the employee handbook. I read everything." Jay watched his uncle's face, watched him calculate. The overhead lights threw harsh shadows across Victor's features, making him look older. Tired. "Chen," Victor said finally. "Check that." The gunman pulled out a phone, typed something, waited. 30 seconds crawled past. Then he nodded. "She's right. Thermal system is separate, active monitoring." Victor's jaw tightened. "So we walk him out. Make it look natural." "Cameras in the lobby," Maya added. "Facial recognition at the exits, time-stamped. If he walks out and disappears, there's a trail. Then we keep him alive until we're clear of the building." Victor stood up. "Jay, you're going to walk out of here quietly. We'll take a ride. Have a longer conversation somewhere less monitored. You cooperate. Maybe this ends differently than planned. You fight. Chen puts a round in your spine and we deal with the complications. Your choice." Jay looked at the gun, at Victor, at Maya. Not a choice at all. "Okay," he said. Victor smiled. "Smart, just like your father, right up until the end." They moved toward the door. Victor first, then Jay, then Chen, with the gun pressed against Jay's lower back where his jacket concealed it. Maya stepped aside to let them pass, her face blank, eyes down. As Jay walked by, she whispered, "Stairwell, 38th floor, fire suppression panel." He didn't react, didn't look at her, just kept walking. In the hallway, Victor adjusted his cuffs. "Chen, bring the car around to the loading dock, service entrance. We'll take the freight elevator down." "What about her?" Chen nodded back toward Maya. "Leave her. I'll make a call once we're clear. She's nobody, no connections. It'll look like an accident." They walked past the regular elevators toward the freight access. The hallway was empty. Victor had cleared the floor somehow. Jay's mind raced. The stairwell, 38th floor, fire suppression panel. What did that mean? Was Maya giving him an escape route, or was this another trap? Didn't matter. It was the only play he had. The freight elevator doors opened with a metallic groan. Industrial space, no cameras inside. Victor stepped in first. Jay moved, not toward the elevator, toward the emergency stairwell door 10 feet to the left. Chen's gun came up, but Jay was already moving, shoulder hitting the crash bar, body tumbling through into the concrete stairwell. A shot rang out, suppressed but still loud in the enclosed space, and concrete exploded near his head. He didn't stop. Went down, taking stairs 3 at a time, hand sliding along the railing. Behind him, the door crashed open again. Footsteps. Chen coming fast. 38th floor. 9 floors down. Jay's lungs burned. His dress shoes weren't made for this. He hit the landing at 45, spun, kept going. Another shot. Closer this time. 39. 38. He burst through the stairwell door into another hallway. Empty. Corporate office space, dark except for emergency lighting. He ran toward the fire suppression panel Maya mentioned. Had to be near the stairwell. That's code. Found it mounted on the wall in a red metal box. Locked. Of course it was locked. Behind him, the stairwell door opened. Jay grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall mount, swung it like a bat, smashed the panel's glass cover, reached inside. His fingers found the manual override, a T-shaped handle. He yanked it. For a second, nothing happened. Then the sprinkler system activated with a sound like 1,000 snakes hissing at once. Water exploded from every ceiling sprinkler on the floor. Emergency alarm shrieked. The hallway lights flickered, then switched to emergency red. Chen came around the corner, gun up, water streaming down his face. Jay threw the fire extinguisher. It hit Chen in the chest, knocked him back into the wall. The gun went off, wild, putting a round into the ceiling. Jay didn't wait to see if he dropped it. He ran the opposite direction, into the maze of office cubicles, water pouring down, alarms screaming. Behind him, Chen's voice. "I'm going to kill you slow for this." Jay vaulted over a desk, crashed through a glass partition into someone's office. His jacket caught, tore. He kept moving. The floor was chaos, water everywhere, emergency strobes turning everything into a nightmare freeze frame. He found another stairwell on the far side, hit it, started climbing, up, not down. They'd expect down. His phone was gone. His gun was gone. He was soaked, bleeding from a dozen cuts, running on adrenaline and spite. But he was alive. At the 42nd floor, he stopped, caught his breath. The alarms were muffled here, the sprinklers silent. This level hadn't been triggered. He tried the door. Unlocked. Stepped through into darkness. The floor was under construction, bare concrete, exposed wiring, construction equipment scattered around. No furniture, no cameras, a voice from behind him. "Don't move." Jay turned slowly. Maya stood in the stairwell doorway, soaked, holding what looked like Chen's gun in both hands. It shook violently, but her finger was on the trigger and the barrel was pointed at his chest. "How did you—" Jay started. "Shut up. Just shut up." She was breathing hard. "I need to know something. Are you a good guy or a bad guy?" "What?" "Simple question. I just saved your life. Maybe. Or maybe I'm an idiot who's about to get killed for helping a crime lord escape. So tell me, are you the kind of person who deserves saving?" Jay stared at her. At this woman who'd interrupted a business meeting to point out a hidden clause, who'd somehow known about thermal imaging and fire suppression systems, who was now holding a gun she clearly didn't want to hold. "No," he said honestly. "I'm not a good guy, but the man trying to kill me is worse." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." Maya's grip on the gun tightened. For a long moment, Jay thought she might actually shoot him. Then she lowered it slowly and slumped against the wall. "I'm an idiot," she said. "How did you get the gun?" "Chen dropped it when you threw the extinguisher. I was following you guys. I don't know why. I should have run. I should have—" She stopped. "Why did your uncle want you dead?" "Long story. We've got time. They'll be searching the lower floors first." Jay moved to the window. From here, he could see the whole city spread out below, lights glittering in the rain. 42 floors up. His empire was down there somewhere, bleeding out in a dozen different neighborhoods. The men who trusted him, the operations his father built, all of it crumbling while Victor orchestrated the collapse. "My uncle's been embezzling from the organization," Jay said. "Not just stealing, dismantling it piece by piece. He set me up to take the fall, inherit the legal liability, then signed himself up as the hero who cooperates with the feds. He gets immunity. I get life in prison, and he rebuilds everything under new management. Why not just kill you from the start? Needed me to sign first, make it legal, transfer of assets, otherwise there'd be challenges, succession fights. This way it's clean. He's not a killer, he's a businessman who tried to save his nephew from himself." Maya absorbed this. The document. That wasn't just a confession. It was a will, basically. And now? Now he'll hunt me until I'm dead, can't leave loose ends. Maya laughed. No humor in it. Great, perfect. I was having a bad year already, but this really just... She stopped, tilted her head. Footsteps. Jay heard them too. Heavy boots. Multiple people. The stairwell below. We need to move, he said. Where? We're 42 floors up in a building his people probably control. Jay looked around the construction site. Scaffolding near the windows, equipment, building supplies. An idea formed. Stupid, desperate, maybe suicidal. Can you climb? He asked. Climb what? He pointed at the window, at the scaffolding beyond. Maya followed his gaze, went pale. No, no way. Absolutely not. They're coming up the stairs. Then we'll hide, find another way. There is no other way. You said it yourself, he controls the building. The footsteps were getting louder. Voices now, Chen's voice. Floor by floor, he's bleeding. He can't have gone far. Jay walked to the window. It was safety glass, reinforced, but the frame was temporary, construction grade. He picked up a piece of rebar from the floor, jammed it into the seal, levered. The window shifted. Again. Harder. The glass shattered outward. Wind and rain blasted in. The opening was maybe 4 feet wide. Beyond it, the scaffolding clung to the building's exterior, extending down into the left where they were working on the facade. You're insane, Maya said. Probably. Jay climbed through, glass crunching under his shoes. The scaffolding was wet, slippery, swaying in the wind. 42 floors of nothing below. He looked back at Maya. Stay here. You die. Chen won't leave witnesses. Behind her, the stairwell door crashed open. Maya's eyes went wide. She looked at the door, at Jay, at the drop. I hate heights, she said, and climbed through the window. The scaffolding groaned under their weight. Maya's fingers dug into the wet metal so hard her knuckles went bone white. The wind hit them like a physical thing, trying to peel them off the side of the building. Don't look down, Jay said, already moving lateral along the platform. Maya looked down. Bad idea. The street was a river of lights and movement, tiny cars crawling through rain-soaked intersections. Her stomach lurched. She pressed herself flat against the building's concrete facade, breathing in short gasps that tasted like rain and fear. Maya, look at me. She couldn't. Her eyes were locked on the drop, on the 42 floors of empty air between her and the pavement. Jay's hand closed on her wrist. Look at me. She dragged her gaze up, found his face 6 inches from hers, rain streaming down, completely calm like they weren't clinging to the outside of a skyscraper in a storm. 3 steps to the left, he said. That's all. Then we're on the service platform. It's wider, safer. 3 steps. I can't. You already did the hard part. You're out here. 3 steps is nothing. Inside the building, she heard shouting. Chen's voice, closer now. The beam of a flashlight swept across the broken window. Now, Maya. Her body moved before her brain caught up. 1 step, 2. Her foot slipped on wet metal, and for a heart-stopping second she was falling, but Jay's grip on her wrist held firm, yanking her against the building. 3rd step. Her hand found the railing of the service platform and she hauled herself onto it, collapsing against the wider surface. Jay followed, smooth and quick. Behind them, Chen's face appeared in the broken window. His gun came up. Jay pulled Maya flat as the first shot sparked off metal 2 feet above their heads. They crawled along the platform, using the building's facade for cover, putting distance between them and the window. Another shot. Then silence. Chen wasn't following them out. Smart man. There's a hatch, Jay said, pointing down the platform. Access point for window washers. Should connect to the internal service corridors. Should? I've seen the building schematics, never actually used it. Great. Wonderful. They crawled toward the hatch, a metal square set into the platform maybe 20 feet away. The scaffolding swayed with every gust of wind. Maya's hands were numb. Her server uniform clung to her like a second skin, completely soaked through. The hatch was locked. Of course it was. Jay examined it, fingers tracing the mechanism. It's a standard industrial padlock. Needs bolt cutters or... He stopped, looked at Maya. You still have the gun? She'd forgotten about it. The weight dragged at her pocket. She pulled it out, hands shaking so badly she almost dropped it over the edge. Shoot the lock, Jay said. Are you serious? You have a better idea? Maya had exactly 0 better ideas. She pointed the gun at the padlock, squeezed her eyes half shut, and pulled the trigger. The recoil nearly knocked the gun out of her hands. The sound was lost in the storm. The padlock exploded into pieces. Not bad, Jay said, yanking the hatch open. The space below was dark and tight, a maintenance corridor that ran between the building's outer wall and the interior offices. They dropped down into it, pulling the hatch closed behind them. The sudden absence of wind and rain felt like a gift. Maya sat against the wall, breathing hard, her whole body shaking. You okay? Jay asked. No, not even a little bit. She looked at him. This is normal for you? Running from people trying to kill you? Not usually. Most of the time it's boring. Meetings, paperwork, managing shipments. Shipments of what? Jay's expression went flat. Does it matter? I'd like to know what I'm risking my life for. You're risking your life because Chen will kill you if he finds you. What I do for a living doesn't change that. Maya wanted to argue, but he was right. She'd stepped into this the moment she'd opened her mouth in that conference room. Whatever Jay Kwan was, crime lord, businessman, victim of betrayal, didn't matter now. They were both targets. We need to get out of the building, she said. Can't use the main exits. Victor's people will be watching. Service exits? Same problem. So we're trapped. Jay shook his head. There's always a way out. We just need to think. Maya's mind raced, pulling up information she'd absorbed over 6 years of working service jobs in buildings like this. Loading docks, delivery schedules, employee protocols. When's the next shift change? What? Building security. They rotate every 12 hours, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. What time is it now? Jay checked his watch. Somehow it had survived the climb. 11:47 p.m. So 6 hours until the morning shift. That's when the building gets busy. Cleaning crews finishing up. Early workers coming in. Coffee delivery trucks. Food service. If we can hide until then, we blend in with the chaos. 6 hours is a long time. They'll sweep every floor. Not all of them. There's got to be places they won't look. Jay studied her. You're good at this. At what? Thinking under pressure. Most people freeze. I worked at Lehman Brothers during the collapse. You learn to function while everything burns or you don't survive. She pushed herself up. Come on. I know where we can hide. They moved through the maintenance corridor, following the narrow passage that ran the building's perimeter. Emergency lighting cast everything in sickly yellow. Their footsteps echoed off concrete. Where are we going? Jay asked. Server room, sub-basement level, climate-controlled, soundproofed, and nobody goes there at night except IT, and IT doesn't work past 9 p.m. because the union negotiated it 3 years ago. How do you know that? I told you, I read everything. They found a service elevator at the end of the corridor, the kind used by maintenance staff, accessed with a keycard. Maya didn't have one. Jay didn't either. Can you hotwire it? Maya asked. Do I look like I hotwire elevators? You run a criminal organization. I sign papers and manage people. The actual crime gets outsourced. Maya laughed despite everything. So you're middle management. Exactly. She examined the card reader. Standard RFID system. Cheap, common, hackable if you knew what you were doing. I need something metal, thin, like a paper clip. Jay pulled a money clip from his pocket. Solid silver, engraved with initials. Probably worth more than Maya earned in a month. He handed it over without hesitation. She bent it into shape, wedged it into the reader's housing, and shorted the contact points. The reader beeped. The elevator doors opened. Where'd you learn that? Jay asked as they stepped inside. YouTube. Seriously? I had a lot of free time after I got blacklisted from finance. The elevator descended in silence. Maya watched the floor numbers count down. Her reflection in the polished doors looked like a drowned rat, hair plastered to her skull, mascara running, uniform torn. 24 hours ago, her biggest concern was making rent. Now she was fleeing assassins with a man who probably had a body count. "Why'd you speak up?" Jay asked quietly. "In the conference room. You could have just left." Maya had been asking herself the same question. "I don't know. I saw the document, recognized the law firm. They represented some of the firms that tanked in 2008, specialized in creative liability transfers. When I saw the clause..." She trailed off. "I spent 6 years watching people get screwed by paperwork they didn't read. I couldn't just walk away." "You didn't know me." "Didn't matter. What they were doing was wrong. I'm not a good person, Maya. You should know that." "Yeah, well, neither is your uncle, and he's worse. So I picked a side." The elevator stopped. Sub-basement 3. The doors opened onto a hallway that hummed with the white noise of air conditioning and electronics. Maya led them past rows of server racks, each one blinking with green and amber lights, until they reached a maintenance closet at the far end. Inside was exactly what she'd hoped for: cleaning supplies, old equipment, and a space barely big enough for 2 people if they didn't mind being close. They squeezed in. Jay pulled the door shut. Darkness swallowed them except for a thin line of light under the door. "Now we wait," Maya whispered. 6 hours. Give or take. In the cramped space, Maya could hear Jay breathing, could smell his cologne mixed with sweat and rain. Her shoulder pressed against his chest. Somewhere above them, Chen and Victor's people were searching, but down here, in the hum and darkness, they were invisible. "Tell me about Victor," Maya said. "Why would he do this?" Jay was quiet for a long moment. "Money, power, the usual reasons. There's more to it than that." "How would you know?" "Because if it was just money, he could have embezzled and disappeared. This is elaborate, personal. He wants you destroyed specifically." Jay's laugh was bitter. "You should have been an investigator." "I tried. Turns out whistleblowers don't get hired anywhere. We get labeled troublemakers." She shifted in the tight space. "So? What's the real story?" "My father and Victor were partners. Built the organization together from nothing. When my father died, he left everything to me. Victor got a position as advisor, trusted, respected, but not in charge. He thought he'd earned the throne, spent 30 years building it. Then his younger brother's son inherits it all. So this is revenge. Oh, this is him taking what he thinks he's owed. The betrayal is just business." Maya processed that. "The men who work for you, the ones Victor promised to protect. Will he actually keep them safe? The useful ones, yeah. The rest..." Jay trailed off. "The rest are loose ends." "How many people are we talking about?" 140 still on payroll. Maybe 70 Victor considers worth keeping. "And the other 70? Jay didn't answer. Didn't need to. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. She'd saved one life tonight, Jay's. But there were dozens more in the blast radius of Victor's plan. People who'd trusted the Quan family, who'd find out too late that the empire was burning and they were locked inside. "We have to stop him," she said. "We're 2 people hiding in a closet." "So we get help, the police, FBI, someone. With what evidence?" "The document's still in the penthouse. Victor has it by now, probably destroyed it. And even if we had it, who's going to believe us?" "I'm a criminal. You're a waitress. Victor's got federal connections. He's positioned himself as the cooperating witness. We go to the authorities, we end up dead or in prison. Then what's the plan? Hide forever?" "I'm working on it." They lapsed into silence. Maya's legs were cramping, her wet clothes chafed. She wanted to scream or cry or both, but instead she focused on breathing, on staying quiet, on surviving the next minute and then the next. An hour crawled by, then another. "Maya," Jay said finally, "the law firm, the one you recognized. What else do you know about them?" "Carver and Stone, corporate law, specialized in restructuring. They handled a lot of the bad deals in 2008, helped firms hide debt, transfer liability, creative accounting that looked legal until it wasn't." "They still operating?" "Yeah. Offices downtown." Why? Because if Victor hired them, there's paperwork, multiple copies. He's too careful to rely on one document. There'll be backups, records, communications. If we can access their files, breaking into a law firm? Maya cut him off. That's insane. You have a better idea? She didn't. She hated that she didn't. Even if we could get in, she said, what are we looking for? Proof that Victor set you up? That doesn't save the 70 people he's planning to eliminate. No, but it gives us leverage. Victor's entire plan requires federal cooperation. If we expose him as the one orchestrating the collapse, his immunity deal evaporates. He becomes the target instead of the hero. And then what? He still has money, connections, people willing to kill for him? Then we make sure he loses all of it. The certainty in Jay's voice was almost convincing. Almost. How? Maya asked. You said you were good at finding things people tried to hide. How good? At Lehman, I tracked down $200 million in off-book derivatives that 3 separate audits missed. Got me called into a meeting where they explained very carefully why finding things like that was bad for my career. Could you do it again? Track money? Depends on the money. Victor's been embezzling for 18 months. Millions, probably more. He's hiding it somewhere. Offshore accounts, shell companies, real estate. If we find it, we find proof. And if we freeze the accounts, he loses his war chest, Maya finished. Her mind was already spinning, pulling up frameworks from her old life. We'd need access to the organization's financial records, bank routing numbers, corporate filings. I have some of that, not everything. Victor locked me out of most systems 3 months ago. What do you have? Partial access to the primary accounts, transaction histories from before the lockout, names of the shell cores we were using for legitimate business. That's a start. Maya felt something she hadn't felt in 6 years, the thrill of a puzzle clicking together. If I can cross-reference the transactions, look for patterns, unusual transfers, amounts that don't match declared operations, you can find where he's hiding it. Maybe. It's going to take time, and we'd need computers, secure internet, software. I know a place, Jay said. Safe house. Not on any official records. Victor doesn't know about it. How can you be sure? Because I didn't tell anyone, not even the people I trust. Why? Jay was quiet for a moment. Because I learned a long time ago that the people you trust are the ones who can hurt you worst. The words hung in the small space between them. Maya thought about her own betrayals. The managers at Lehman who'd smiled while they destroyed her career. The colleagues who'd stopped returning calls. The slow realization that doing the right thing meant being alone. Yeah, she said softly. I know what you mean. More time passed. Maya dozed, woke, dozed again. In the darkness, she lost track of minutes and hours. Her back ached. Her mouth tasted like copper and fear. At some point, Jay's breathing changed. She thought he'd fallen asleep, but then he spoke. Why finance? What? You said you worked at Lehman. Why'd you choose that? Maya shifted, trying to ease the cramp in her calf. My mom worked 3 jobs to get me through college. I was good at math. Wall Street paid stupid money. Seemed like the fastest way to pay her back. Did you? She died my 2nd year at Lehman. Cancer. By the time I had the money for good treatment, it was too late. She paused. After she was gone, the job didn't mean anything anymore. I started actually looking at what we were doing. The derivatives, the bundled mortgages, the risk ratios that made no sense. I thought I was being helpful when I flagged it. Turns out, I was being inconvenient. I'm sorry. For what? Your mother. That's hard. It was such a simple statement. No platitudes, no empty comfort, just acknowledgement. Yeah, Maya said. It was. My father died of a heart attack, Jay said. I was 22. One day he was here running everything. The next day I'm in charge of an organization I barely understood. I spent the first year terrified someone would notice I had no idea what I was doing. Did they notice? Some of them, the smart ones. They helped anyway, taught me, believed I could grow into it. He laughed quietly. Victor was one of them. For 10 years he was the person I trusted most. And the whole time, he was waiting for me to give him a reason to take it all back. He gave himself the reason, not you. I made mistakes, got comfortable, stopped paying attention to the details. That doesn't justify what he did. No, but it explains it. Maya wanted to argue, but exhaustion was pulling at her. Her eyes kept drifting closed. In the darkness, Jay's presence was weirdly comforting, solid, real, alive. Two people who should have been dead breathing in a closet while killers hunted them. She must have actually fallen asleep because when she jerked awake, Jay's hand was over her mouth and his other hand was raised in warning. Quiet. She heard it then. Footsteps in the hallway outside. Heavy boots. Multiple people. A voice. Check the server rooms again. They could be hiding in the equipment racks. Chen. The footsteps moved past their closet. Stopped. Came back. Maya's heart hammered so loud she was sure they could hear it. Jay's hand stayed over her mouth. She could feel his pulse in his wrist, racing as fast as hers. The door handle rattled. Chen's voice, closer now. This one's locked. All the maintenance closets are locked, another voice replied. They're not going to be hiding in cleaning supplies. Check it anyway. Metal scraped against metal. They were picking the lock. Jay's hand moved from Maya's mouth to the gun in her pocket. He pulled it out slowly, chambered around with the softest click. The lock turned. Light flooded the closet. Chen stood in the doorway, gun raised, his face splitting into a grin when he saw them. Found you. Jay fired first. The shot took Chen in the shoulder, spinning him back into the hallway. The second man went for his weapon, but Jay was already moving, slamming into him, driving him against the wall. The gun clattered across the floor. Maya scrambled out of the closet, her legs screaming from hours of cramping. Chen was on the ground, clutching his shoulder, blood spreading through his shirt. The second man was unconscious, slumped against the wall where Jay had put him down with 3 quick strikes that looked almost practiced. We need to move, Joe, Jay said, already heading for the elevator. Now! They ran. Behind them, Chen was yelling into a radio, his voice ragged with pain. The elevator was still on their level. Small miracle. They jumped inside, Jay hitting the button for the parking garage. You shot him, Maya said, breathing hard. He was going to kill us. I know, You didn't hesitate. I've done it before. The admission sat between them like a third passenger. Maya looked at the man she'd saved, really looked, saw the hardness in his eyes, the casual way he held the gun. This wasn't someone playing at violence. This was someone who knew it intimately. The elevator doors opened onto the parking garage. Empty cars in neat rows. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Exit signs glowing green. There, Jay pointed to a black sedan 3 rows over. That's mine. I keep a spare set in the wheel well. They ran to the car. Jay retrieved the keys and they were inside in seconds. The engine roared to life. He threw it in reverse, tires squealing as they shot toward the exit. The garage gate was down. Jay didn't slow. He aimed for the center and gunned it. The sedan hit the gate at 40 miles an hour. Metal screeched. The gate tore free, sent flying into the street. They burst out onto rain-slicked pavement, Jay yanking the wheel hard to avoid an oncoming taxi. Where's the safe house? Maya asked, gripping the door handle. North side, 40 minutes in this traffic. She glanced at the rearview mirror. 2 sets of headlights had appeared behind them, coming fast. We've got company. Jay saw them. His jaw tightened. He took the next corner hard, the car fishtailing before he corrected it. The speedometer climbed. 50. 60. 70. The city blurred past. Red lights were suggestions. Stop signs were decorations. Jay drove like someone who'd done this before too. Quick, precise, reading the traffic patterns like a language. Behind them, the pursuit cars matched every move. They're not going to stop, Maya said. I know. So what do? We make them stop. He took them down a side street, narrow, lined with parked cars on both sides. At the end was a construction site, scaffolding, barriers, heavy equipment. Jay, what are you? He accelerated. The car shot forward. At the last second, he yanked the wheel, sending them into a controlled spin that ended with them facing back the way they'd come, perpendicular to the street, blocking the entire width. Out, he said. Now. They bailed out just as the first pursuit car came around the corner. Its driver saw the blockade too late, stood on the brakes. The car slid sideways, smashed into a parked truck, airbags deploying with explosive force. The second car swerved to avoid the wreck. Jumped the curb, hit a fire hydrant, water erupted 20 feet into the air. Jay grabbed Maya's hand. Come on. Wario, machine. They ran through the construction site, climbing over barriers, ducking under scaffolding. Came out on the next street over where a late-night bus was pulling up to a stop. They jumped on. Paid with cash Jay produced from somewhere. Collapsed into seats at the back, both gasping for air. The bus pulled away. Through the rear window, Maya could see chaos behind them. The wrecked cars, the geyser of water, people emerging from buildings to see what happened. Is it always like this for you? She asked. No, usually it's worse. She started laughing. Couldn't help it. The kind of laughter that came from surviving something you shouldn't have. Jay looked at her like she'd lost her mind, then started laughing too. Quiet at first, then harder, until they were both shaking with it. The other passengers stared. They didn't care. They rode the bus for 6 stops, then got off in a neighborhood Maya didn't recognize. Industrial area, warehouses and auto shops. The rain had finally stopped, leaving everything slick and gleaming. Jay led her down an alley to a steel door, unlocked it with a key from a magnetic box hidden under a drain pipe. Inside was a staircase leading up to what looked like a converted loft. The safe house was sparse, furniture that came from necessity, not style. Industrial windows that looked out over the street, thick walls that probably kept sound from traveling. But it was warm and dry, and nobody was shooting at them. Maya peeled off her soaked jacket, shivering. How long have you had this place? 3 years. Bought it under a fake name through a shell company Victor didn't know about. Thought I might need it someday. Smart. Paranoid. Same thing sometimes. Jay moved to a closet, pulled out dry clothes, sweatpants and a hoodie that would be too big on Maya, but better than her ruined uniform. He tossed them to her, then grabbed clothes for himself. Bathroom's there, he pointed. Hot water works. Maya took the fastest shower of her life, scrubbing off the grime and fear, watching the water run gray down the drain. When she came out, Jay had set up a laptop on the small kitchen table. 2 monitors, Ethernet cables running to somewhere in the walls. Secure connection, and he explained. Routed through about 6 proxies. Not perfect, but good enough for what we need. He'd also made coffee. Real coffee. Not the instant crap Maya had been surviving on for months. She took a cup gratefully, letting the warmth seep into her frozen hands. Okay, she said, sitting down at the laptop. Show me what you have. For the next 4 hours, they worked. Jay pulled up files he'd saved before Victor locked him out. Transaction records, account numbers, corporate structures. Maya started building a map, following the money backwards through shell companies and wire transfers. It was like archaeology. Dig through the official records, find the anomalies. A payment that's 10% too high. A transfer to an account that exists for 3 days, then vanishes. Shell companies and jurisdictions with convenient privacy laws. Here, she said, pointing at the screen. This company, Pacific Rim Holdings. It received 14 transfers in the last 18 months, totaling $47 million. But there's no corresponding outflow. Money going in, nothing coming out, Jay said. What's the company do? Maya dug deeper. According to the filing, real estate acquisition, but I can't find any property records. No deeds, no mortgages, no leases. It's a front. Yeah. And look at the incorporation date, 3 months before Victor started his play. She pulled up more records. Same pattern here and here. He created at least 8 shell companies in the last 2 years, all of them receiving steady transfers from your organization's accounts. How much total? Maya did the math. Ballpark, $120 million. Jay went very still. That's more than I thought. It's more than embezzlement. This is liquidation. He's been systematically draining the entire operation. Then what's he living on? The organization still has expenses, payroll, bribes, operations. Where's that money coming from? Good question. Maya went back to the records, this time looking at the revenue side. What she found made her stomach turn. Jay, Look at this. She pulled up a series of transactions from the last 6 months, large deposits, regular intervals, coming from a single source. That's one of our freight companies, Jay said. Legitimate business. We import electronics from Asia. You're importing something, Maya said. But I don't think it's electronics. She showed him the numbers. The deposits were too large, too consistent, and they didn't match any import records she could find. More importantly, they'd started right around the time the organization's other revenue streams began drying up. He replaced your income, she said. Whatever this is, it's been funding operations while he siphoned everything else into his accounts. What kind of freight generates this much money? Maya didn't want to answer. Didn't want to think about what could be valuable enough, dark enough, to pour this kind of cash into Victor's operation. But the numbers didn't lie. We need to find out what's on those ships, she said quietly. Jay stared at the screen for a long time. Maya watched his face change, watched something behind his eyes go cold and dark. The freight company, he said finally, Seaborne Logistics. It's registered under the organization, but Victor's been managing it directly for the last year. Told me it was boring, infrastructure stuff. Said I didn't need to waste time on it. And you believed him. I had no reason not to. It was pulling in steady revenue, no complaints, no problems. He stood up, paced to the window. I should have looked closer. He counted on you not looking. I was lazy, complacent, exactly what he needed. Maya pulled up more records. According to the manifests, Seaborne runs 3 cargo ships. They make regular trips between here and Southeast Asia. Officially, they're importing electronics, textiles, manufacturing equipment. Officially. Yeah. She traced the shipping routes on the screen. But the timeline's weird. The ships stay in port for days longer than they should. And look at the fuel consumption. It's way higher than standard freight runs. Extra stop, Jay said. They're picking up cargo that's not on the official manifests. Or passengers. The word hung in the air like poison. Jay turned from the window. Trafficking. It would explain the money and the secrecy. Which kind? Drugs? Weapons? Maya's hands had gone cold despite the coffee. People. She pulled up news articles. Missing persons reports from port cities across Asia. UN briefings on human trafficking networks. NGO reports about organ harvesting operations that moved victims across international waters where jurisdiction got murky and witnesses disappeared. The pattern was there if you knew how to look. Young people vanishing from coastal towns. Medical facilities in disputed territories operating without oversight. Black market organ prices that could fund an operation like Victor's indefinitely. He's harvesting them, Maya said quietly. Bringing them in on the ships, using them for organs, then disposing of the evidence at sea. Jay's face had gone completely blank. The kind of blank that came from seeing something so horrible your brain refused to process it. How many? He asked. Maya did the math based on the revenue streams. If each shipment is worth what I think it is, dozens per trip. 3 ships making runs every 6 weeks. Call it 150 people a year. For 18 months. Yeah. The number sat between them. 225 people, maybe more. Kidnapped, butchered, thrown into the ocean, all to fund Victor's quiet coup while he positioned himself as the respectable businessman saving his nephew's failing empire. Jay walked to the kitchen, opened a cabinet, pulled out a bottle of whiskey, poured 2 glasses, handed one to Maya. I'm sorry, he said. For what? For pulling you into this. You didn't pull me in, I jumped. Still. He downed his whiskey in one swallow. You should have walked away. Probably, but I didn't. Maya sipped hers, felt the burn. So now what? Now we stop it. How? We've got financial records and shipping manifests. That's not proof, that's circumstantial. Then we get proof. How? Jay looked at her. We go to the ships. Maya's first instinct was to laugh. Then she realized he was serious. You want to break into a cargo ship. One of them's in port right now, the Meridian Star, docked at Terminal 7. Next departure is in 3 days. And you know this how? I still get the company newsletters. He pulled up his phone, showed her an email. They send updates to all shareholders. Victor probably forgot I'm still on the list. Or he wants you to see it. Maybe. But it's an opportunity. It's suicide. That facility will be crawling with security. Victor's people, maybe worse. Which is why we go at night, during shift change, when things are chaotic. This is insane. You have a better idea? Maya wanted to say yes, wanted to pull up some brilliant alternative that didn't involve them sneaking onto a ship that might be full of victims or killers or both. But her mind was blank. Even if we get on board, she said, what are we looking for? Bodies? Victims? Operating rooms? Evidence? Photos? Anything we can take to the authorities. The authorities Victor's been cooperating with. Not all of them. There's got to be someone clean, someone who'll listen. Maya wasn't convinced, but she was out of arguments. Or maybe she was just too tired to keep fighting the inevitable. They'd come this far. Stopping now meant Victor won. Meant 225 people died for nothing. Okay, she said, but we need help. 2 people can't search an entire cargo ship. I know someone. Maybe. Jay pulled out a burner phone from a drawer, dialed a number. It rang 6 times before someone picked up. Yeah? Male voice, gruff. Marcus, it's Jay. Silence on the other end. Then, you're supposed to be dead. Victor's been telling people that? Victor's been telling people you betrayed the organization. Stole money, set up the feds. He's cleaning house. Half the crew is gone already. The half he doesn't trust. Yeah, listen, I don't know what's going on, but I can't be seen talking to you. He's got people watching everyone. I need your help anyway. Jay, it's not about me. It's about what Victor's been doing with Seaborne Logistics. Another pause. Longer this time. What about it? How much do you know about the operation? I know it's off limits, Victor's private project. He doesn't want anyone asking questions. Did you ever wonder why? I learned a long time ago not to wonder about things that aren't my business. Jay's voice went hard. He's trafficking people, Marcus. Bringing them in on the ships, using them for organ harvesting, has been for over a year. The silence stretched so long, Maya thought the line had gone dead. You can prove that? Marcus asked finally. I can show you the money trail, the shipping records, but I need physical evidence. I need to see what's on the Meridian Star. That's Terminal 7, locked down tight. I know. Victor's got his own security there, not our guys, private contractors. I know that too. So you're calling to ask me what exactly? Access, schedules, anything you can give me that won't blow back on you. Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. If I help you and this goes wrong, I'm a dead man. If you don't help me, you're working for someone who's been murdering innocent people to fund a power grab. Where's the line for you? That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. More silence. Maya could hear Marcus breathing on the other end, weighing options that all probably looked terrible. Shift change is at 2 a.m., he said finally. That's when the day crew clocks out and night crew comes in. There's about 20 minutes of overlap where nobody's paying attention to anything except getting home or getting started. Gate code changes weekly. This week, it's 47729. Jay was writing this down. What about the ship itself? I don't know the interior. Never been on board. But the gangway access code should be the same as the gate. Victor keeps it simple. Security patrols? 2 guys on the dock, 4 on the ship. They rotate every 4 hours. Armed? Assume yes. Cameras? Everywhere, but they feed to a security office at the north end of the terminal. You take that out, you've got maybe 10 minutes before someone notices the feeds are down. That's something. That's barely anything, Jay. You're talking about infiltrating a secured facility, getting past armed guards, and searching a ship that could have anything on it. This is the kind of move you make with a team, with planning, not with whatever you've got going on right now. I've got what I've got. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Don't call this number again. Marcus hung up. Jay set the phone down, looked at Maya. You heard him. I heard him. Still think it's insane. Insane is all we've got left. They spent the next 8 hours preparing. Jay had supplies in the safe house, equipment left over from operations he didn't talk about. Dark clothes, bolt cutters, a tactical flashlight, two-way radios, a first aid kit that looked like it had been used before, and guns. He set them on the table. 2 handguns, a shotgun, ammunition. Maya stared at them. I don't know how to use these. Then you learn. Quick version. He picked up one of the handguns. This is a Glock 17, point and shoot, safeties here. Magazine release here. You've got 17 rounds. Make them count. I can't. You shot Chen. That was different. I wasn't thinking. Good. Don't think. Just react. He handed her the gun. Feel the weight. Get comfortable with it. Maya took it, her hands shaking. The metal was heavier than she expected, cold, real in a way that made her stomach turn. I don't want to kill anyone, she said. Then don't. But if it's you or them, you choose you, every time. Understand? She didn't answer, couldn't. The gun felt like a bomb in her hands. Jay's phone buzzed. A text from a number Maya didn't recognize. He read it, his expression darkening. What? She asked. Marcus sent a follow-up. Says 3 of our guys disappeared last night. Nobody knows where they went. Victor? Has to be. He's moving faster than I thought, eliminating anyone who might question him. Then we're running out of time. Yeah. They left the safe house at midnight, took a taxi to within 6 blocks of Terminal 7, then walked the rest of the way. The industrial port was quiet at this hour, just the hum of refrigeration units and the distant sound of machinery. Security lights cast everything in harsh white. The terminal fence was 12 feet of chain link topped with barbed wire. Jay cut through it in 3 quick snips with the bolt cutters. They slipped through, staying low, moving between shipping containers stacked like building blocks. There's the security office, Jay whispered, pointing to a small building near the main dock. Through the windows, Maya could see 2 guards inside. One was watching monitors. The other was on his phone. How do we take them out? She asked. We don't. We create a distraction. What kind of distraction? Jay picked up a piece of metal debris, hefted it. The loud kind. He threw it at a shipping container 40 yards away. The clang echoed across the terminal like a church bell. The guards jumped up, grabbed flashlights, headed outside to investigate. Move, Jay said. They ran in the opposite direction, toward the dock where the Meridian Star sat like a metal island in the dark water. The ship was massive, 300 feet of rusted hull and cargo containers stacked 6 high. The gangway stretched from the dock to the main deck, lit by a single overhead lamp. Jay punched in the access code, 47729. A green light blinked. The gate unlocked. They climbed the gangway, footsteps ringing on metal. At the top, they ducked behind a container, listening. Voices somewhere forward, the smell of diesel and salt water. We need to find the hold, Jay whispered. That's where they'd keep anything they don't want seen. They moved through the ship, following signs in 3 languages. The interior was a maze of corridors and stairs, everything painted industrial gray. Emergency lights provided just enough illumination to see. They descended 3 levels before they found it. A section sealed off with a heavy steel door, keypad lock, warning signs in multiple languages, authorized personnel only. This is it, Maya said. Jay tried the access code. It didn't work. He tried variations. Nothing. We need to force it, he said, pulling out the shotgun. That's going to be loud. I know. He aimed at the lock, fired. The sound was like the end of the world in the enclosed space. The lock shattered. The door swung open. The smell hit them first. Antiseptic. Bleach. And underneath, something worse. Something organic and wrong. Jay turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through darkness, illuminated a space that made Maya's breath stop in her throat. Hospital beds. 20 of them, arranged in rows. IV stands. Medical equipment and people. Mostly young, mostly unconscious, hooked up to machines that beeped and hummed in the quiet. Oh God, Maya whispered. They weren't dead. Not yet. But they looked close. Pale. Thin. Some had surgical scars, fresh ones. A door at the far end of the hold opened. A man in scrubs stepped through, saw them, froze. Who the hell are... Jay didn't let him finish. 3 steps and he had the man against the wall, forearm across his throat. "How many?" Jay demanded. The man's eyes were wide with terror. "How many what?" "People. How many have you processed?" "I don't know what you're—" Jay pressed harder. "Wrong answer. 40. 40 on this ship. Please, I'm just medical staff. I don't know anything about— Where are the rest?" "What rest?" "You've been running this operation for 18 months. There should be hundreds." The man's face went gray. "They don't keep them. Once the viable organs are harvested, they dispose of the remains at sea. I've only been here 3 months. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know what this was when I signed on." Maya felt bile rise in her throat. She looked at the people in the beds. 40 lives hanging by threads, and how many others already gone, dumped into the ocean like garbage? "Maya," Jay said, "take photos, everything. We need documentation." She pulled out her phone, hands shaking, started photographing. The beds, the equipment, the victims. The man in scrubs who was crying now, saying he was sorry over and over like that meant anything. Footsteps above them, running, shouting. "They heard the gunshot," Jay said. "We need to move." "We can't leave them," Maya said. "We can't save them if we're dead." "Jay, Marcus was right. This needed a team. We're 2 people. We got what we came for. Now we run." He was right, and she hated it. Hated leaving those 40 people in their beds. Hated that documenting their suffering was the best they could do. They ran back the way they came, the photos safe on Maya's phone. Behind them, the footsteps were getting closer, voices shouting commands. They hit the main deck at a sprint. The gangway was ahead. 20 yards. 15. Gunfire erupted from the forward section. Bullets sparked off metal. Jay returned fire with the shotgun, not aiming, just creating noise and chaos. "Go!" he shouted. Maya ran, hit the gangway. Her foot caught on the edge and she went down hard, phone skittering across metal. She scrambled for it, grabbed it, kept moving. More gunfire. Something hit the railing next to her head. She didn't stop. They hit the dock running. Jay was beside her, breathing hard. Behind them, the guards were still shooting, but the distance was growing. They made it to the hole in the fence, through it, into the maze of shipping containers beyond. Kept running until their lungs burned and their legs gave out. Finally, they collapsed behind a stack of containers, gasping for air. "Did you get them?" Jay asked. "The photos?" Maya checked her phone. Screen cracked but functional. The photos were there. 40 faces, medical equipment, evidence. "Yeah," she said. I got them." "Then we won." "Did we?" "Those people are still there, still dying." "Not for long. We're sending these to every news outlet, every federal agency, every human rights organization. By tomorrow morning, Victor's operation is front-page news." "And if they kill the witnesses before then?" Jay's face went hard. "They won't have time." They made it back to the safe house as dawn was breaking. Maya's hands were still shaking. The photos on her phone felt like they weighed 1,000 pounds. Jay was already at the laptop, composing emails. Subject line: Evidence of Human Trafficking and Organ Harvesting Network. He attached the photos, the financial records, the shipping manifests, every piece of documentation they had. "This goes to the FBI," he said. "The Coast Guard, ICE, State Department, The Times, The Post, CNN, BBC. I'm sending it everywhere at once. Victor will know it came from us." "Good. I want him to know. He'll come for us." "Let him." Maya watched him work, watched him burn his uncle's empire to the ground with a series of mouse clicks. There was no hesitation, no doubt, just cold fury and the kind of certainty that came from seeing something unforgivable. "Done," he said finally. "It's out there. Can't take it back now." His phone rang 30 seconds later. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. Victor's voice came through, smooth as ever. "That was a mistake, nephew." "Was it?" "You've just declared war on something bigger than you understand. This operation has protection at the highest levels, federal cooperation, international agreements. Do you really think a few photos will change anything? I think you're scared, otherwise you wouldn't be calling. I'm calling as a courtesy to let you know what happens next. First, I activate my contingency plan. The victims on that ship will be disposed of within the hour. No evidence, no witnesses. Second, I release information that you've been the one running Seaborn all along, that I discovered it and tried to stop you, that you killed those people and I have documentation proving it. Nobody will believe you. They will when they see the forged contracts, the falsified records, the witness statements from people who will say whatever I tell them to say. By the time the dust settles, I'm the hero and you're the monster. The media loves a good betrayal story. Jay's hand tightened on the phone. You're not getting away with this. I already have. The question is whether you die fighting or disappear quietly. I'm offering you the quiet option. One last time. Walk away. New identity. Money to live on. In exchange, you stay silent and I don't hunt you down. And Maya? Who? The woman with me. She's part of the deal. Victor laughed. The waitress? That was her name? I'd honestly forgotten. Yes, fine. She can disappear too. Frankly, I'm surprised she's still alive. Maya felt something cold and sharp settle in her chest. Forgotten. Like she was nobody. Like her life was so meaningless it didn't even register. Deal, Jay said. Maya stared at him. What? Where and when? Jay asked Victor. Tonight, Pier 19. Midnight, just you. No phones. No weapons, no tricks. Agreed. Jay hung up. Maya grabbed his arm. What are you doing? Buying time. By walking into a trap? By making him think he's won. Jay turned to face her. Victor's going to tie up loose ends. That means moving the victims off the Meridian Star, which means transportation, which means he has to expose them. We got photos, but what we need is a rescue. We need authorities on site when he makes his move. How do we make that happen? We send a tip. Anonymous. Coast Guard gets a call about suspicious activity at Terminal 7. They show up for a routine inspection right when Victor's trying to evacuate 40 people. He'll abort. He can't, not without abandoning the evidence, and evidence is the one thing he can't afford to leave behind. Maya started to see it. So he has to choose, get caught with the victims or kill them all and get caught with bodies. Either way, he loses. And you? I'll be at Pier 19. Keeping him distracted while this plays out. That's suicide. Maybe, but it's the only move that saves those people. Maya wanted to argue, wanted to find some other plan that didn't involve Jay walking into certain death, but the clock was ticking and she couldn't think of anything better. I'm going with you, she said. No, not your choice. Maya, you saved my life tonight, multiple times. I'm not letting you throw yours away while I hide. Jay looked at her, really looked, and maybe he saw the same thing she felt, that they'd crossed some line together, that walking away wasn't possible anymore. Okay, he said finally, but you follow my lead, and if things go bad, you run. Promise me. I promise. It was a lie, and they both knew it. They had 16 hours. Jay made the anonymous call to the Coast Guard at 8 a.m. from a payphone 3 blocks from the safe house. His voice was muffled, panicked, the kind of thing that would get logged as credible but not urgent. There's something wrong at Terminal 7. People being moved. They look sick. Please, someone needs to check. He hung up before they could ask questions. Back at the loft, Maya was running searches on Victor's known properties. If he was moving the victims off the Meridian Star, he needed somewhere to stash them, somewhere isolated, somewhere he controlled. Here, she said, pulling up a property record. Warehouse in the industrial district, purchased 8 months ago through one of his shell companies. Listed as storage facility, but there's no business license. No activity. That's it, Jay said. That's where he'll take them. Coast Guard won't know about it. No, but we will. The plan was taking shape now. Ugly and desperate, but maybe just functional enough to work. Coast Guard would investigate the ship, find it empty or close to it. Victor would move the victims to the warehouse while he scrambled to cover his tracks. And Jay would be at Pier 19 keeping Victor's attention locked on him while Maya did the thing that terrified her most. She'd be the one to call it in. The second tip, the one that sent authorities to the warehouse with enough firepower to end this. I can't do this, she said. Jay looked up from the laptop. Yes, you can. I'm nobody. I'm a waitress who reads too much. I'm not built for this. You climbed down a building in a storm, broke into a cargo ship, documented evidence while people were shooting at us. You're exactly built for this. That was adrenaline. This is different. This is deliberate. Adrenaline, deliberate. It's all the same when bullets start flying. He crossed to her, put his hands on her shoulders. Listen to me. In 12 hours, Victor's going to try to kill me. Probably succeed. If he does, you're the only person who knows where those victims are. You're the only one who can save them. So you're going to do it. Because you're not the kind of person who walks away. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him she absolutely was the kind of person who walked away. She'd done it before, done it at Lehman when fighting meant losing everything. But that was different. That was her career, her reputation, her future. This was 40 lives bleeding out in a warehouse while a monster covered his tracks. Okay, she said, but you don't get to die. I'll do my best. Promise me. He didn't, couldn't. They both knew the math. They spent the day preparing. Jay walked her through the plan 6 different ways: timing, positioning, contingencies. He gave her a second burner phone, programmed with emergency numbers, showed her the warehouse location on a map, made her memorize the address. You make the call at 11:45, he said. Not before. If you do it earlier, they might get there before Victor's moved the victims. Too late, and he might have already killed them. How will I know when he's moved them? You won't. You're going to have to trust the timeline. Trust. The word felt fragile. At 6 p.m., Jay's phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. Heads up, V pulled all his people off regular duty. Something big happening tonight. Jay showed it to Maya. He's consolidating, getting his loyalists in position. For what? Either cleaning up the evidence or coming after me. Maybe both. We should run, just disappear. Let the authorities handle it. The authorities are why we're in this position. Victor's got connections everywhere. We run, he wins, those people die. Maya knew he was right, hated that he was right. They left the safe house at 10 p.m., took separate routes, Jay heading to Pier 19 in a taxi, Maya on foot toward the industrial district, keeping to shadows, her phone clutched in one hand and Jay's backup gun in the other. The warehouse Victor owned sat at the end of a dead-end street. Abandoned factories on both sides. No lights except for a single fixture over the entrance. Maya found a spot behind a dumpster 50 yards away with a clear view of the door. And she waited. 11 o'clock came and went. No movement. Maya's legs cramped. Her breath formed clouds in the cold air. She checked her phone. No messages. At 11:17, headlights appeared. A black van pulled up to the warehouse. 2 men got out. One unlocked the door while the other scanned the street. Then the van backed up to the entrance and they started unloading. Gurneys, medical equipment, IV bags, and people, unconscious, strapped down, being wheeled into the warehouse like cargo. Maya counted 12, 15, 20. They kept coming. Her phone buzzed, text from Jay. At the pier. No sign of V yet. She typed back. They're moving them now. Warehouse confirmed. How many? At least 20 so far. Wait for my signal. Maya wanted to ask what signal, but the van was pulling away and a second vehicle was arriving. A sedan this time. Victor stepped out, perfectly composed in his expensive suit, like he was attending a business meeting instead of orchestrating mass murder. He walked into the warehouse without looking back. Maya's finger hovered over the phone. She could call now. Get the authorities here before Victor had time to execute whatever plan he had. But Jay said, wait, said the timing mattered. She waited. At Pier 19, Jay stood at the end of the dock watching the water. The pier was abandoned this time of night. Just rotting wood and the smell of dead fish. Perfect place for what Victor had planned. Footsteps behind him, multiple sets. He turned slowly. Victor approached with 4 men. Professional, armed. The kind of muscle you hired when you needed something done quietly and permanently. You came alone, Victor said. I'm impressed. You said no tricks. I lied. Victor stopped 20 feet away. But you knew that. So why did you really come? To look you in the eye when I tell you it's over. Is it? Because from where I stand, I'm about to eliminate my last problem and walk away clean. The victims are being transferred as we speak. By tomorrow morning, they'll be gone. Incinerated, dumped, erased. The ship will be scrubbed. The warehouse will burn, and you'll be at the bottom of this harbor with enough drugs in your system to make it look like an overdose. Poetic. Practical. Victor pulled out a gun. You could have been great, Jay. Your father saw it. I saw it. But you were too soft. Too concerned with doing things the right way. This business doesn't reward softness. My father would have killed you for this. Your father was weak too. Why do you think I helped him into that heart attack? The words landed like a punch. Jay felt something crack open in his chest. What? You thought it was natural? Please. He was 58 and healthy, but he was getting difficult, asking questions about money I'd borrowed. So I slipped a little something into his coffee before a board meeting. Triggered the attack. Clean. Untraceable. I've been waiting 10 years to tell you that. Jay's hand moved toward his waistband. Don't, miss, Victor said. You're not fast enough. He was right. The four men had their weapons up. Jay would be dead before he cleared leather. Go ahead, Victor continued. Ask why I'm telling you this. Why I'm giving you the villain speech instead of just shooting you. Why? Because I want you to know. Want you to understand that everything you built, everything you thought you knew, was built on a lie. Your father didn't trust you with the empire. He trusted me. And when he was gone, I let you play at being in charge while I positioned myself to take it all back. You were never really the boss, Jay. You were a placeholder. Maya checked her phone. 11:42, 3 minutes until she was supposed to make the call. But something was wrong. More vehicles had arrived at the warehouse. Not authorities. Black SUVs, men in tactical gear. They were setting up a perimeter. She texted Jay. Something's happening. Armed men outside the warehouse. No response. She texted again. Jay? Nothing. Her hand started shaking. The plan was falling apart. She could feel it. At the pier, one of Victor's men had taken Jay's phone, crushed it under his boot. No more interruptions, Victor said. Chen, get the weights ready. I want him in the water in 5 minutes. Chen stepped forward. The same Chen Jay had shot at the Meridian Tower, arm in a sling now, murder in his eyes. This one's personal, Chen said. Jay looked at Victor, at the men surrounding him, at the harbor beyond where the water was black and deep. You made a mistake, he said. Did I? You told me everything, every detail of your plan, the victims being moved, the warehouse burning, all of it. And what good does that do you? You're about to be dead. But she's not. Victor's expression shifted. The waitress? Her name is Maya, and while you were explaining how clever you are, she's been documenting every move you make. Photos, recordings, evidence. And in about 2 minutes, she's going to send it all to every authority that matters. It was a bluff. Mostly. Maya had the photos from the ship, but nothing new. But Victor didn't know that. Kill him, Victor snapped. Chen raised his gun. The explosion lit up the night. Not at the pier, at the warehouse. Everyone turned. A fireball rose into the sky, orange and roiling. The sound hit them seconds later, a deep boom that rattled windows blocks away. What the hell? Victor pulled out his phone, started making calls. In the chaos, Jay moved. Grabbed Chen's injured arm, yanked. Chen screamed, the gun went off wild. Jay twisted, drove his elbow into Chen's face, heard bone crack. The other men were turning back, raising weapons. Jay ran. Bullets sparked off metal, punched through wood. He vaulted over a railing, hit the water hard. The cold was instant and shocking, driving the air from his lungs. He went under, kicked deeper, let the current pull him away from the pier. Above, he could hear shouting. More gunfire. But the darkness and the water swallowed it all. At the warehouse, Maya stumbled back from the blast. She'd been behind the dumpster when it happened. Something inside had detonated, gas leak maybe. Or Victor had rigged it to burn after all. The building was engulfed. Flames reached 40 feet high. And inside, screaming. People were still in there. Maya ran toward the entrance. The heat hit her like a wall. Smoke poured out the door. She pulled her shirt over her mouth, pushed inside. The interior was hell, fire everywhere. Smoke so thick she couldn't see 3 feet. The screaming was louder now, desperate. She followed the sound, found a gurney near the back, a woman strapped to it, conscious now, eyes wide with terror. Maya yanked at the restraints, got one free, then another. The woman rolled off, tried to stand, collapsed. "I've got you," Maya said, dragging her toward the door. They made it outside just as part of the roof collapsed. Maya laid the woman on the ground, coughing, gasping. "How many?" she managed. "How many were inside?" The woman just shook her head, couldn't speak. Maya looked back at the inferno. Even if she wanted to go back in, she couldn't. The entrance had collapsed. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. She grabbed the woman. "Come on, we need to move before they get here." "Why?" "Because Victor's men are still out there." She pulled the woman into the shadows between buildings just as the fire trucks arrived. Then the police. Then unmarked sedans that had to be federal. From their hiding spot, Maya watched the chaos unfold. Firefighters attacked the blaze. Authorities secured the perimeter. Someone found the tactical team Victor had positioned around the warehouse, and shots were fired. It was turning into a war zone. Maya's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. "Maya?" Jay's voice rough and breathless. "You're alive." "Barely. Where are you?" "Near the warehouse. It exploded. I got one person out, maybe. I don't know if she'll make it. Get out of there, now. Victor knows you're involved. He'll be looking." "What about you?" "I'm in the water, heading downstream. I'll contact you when I can." "Jay, the evidence, the photos from the ship, did you send them?" "Not yet. I was waiting for you." "Send them now. Everything. All the outlets we talked about. This is the moment. The warehouse burning, the authorities on site. The story writes itself." "Okay. But Jay, what about the people who died in the fire?" Silence on the line. "Jay?" "I know," he said quietly. "I know. But if we don't finish this, they died for nothing." He was right. Again. Always. Maya pulled out her cracked phone, pulled up the emails Jay had drafted, hit send on all of them. The photos, the financial records, the shipping manifests, everything. The story was out there now, couldn't be stopped. "It's done," she told Jay. "Good. Now run. Get somewhere safe. Don't contact me. Don't use your phone. Just disappear for 24 hours. "Where do I go?" "Remember the diner I mentioned? The one near the old factory district?" She didn't remember him mentioning any diner. "No." "Exactly. So Victor won't either. Make something up. Stay low. When this settles, I'll find you." "How?" "I'll find you." He hung up. Maya looked at the woman she'd pulled from the fire. Early 20s, Asian, surgical scars on her abdomen. She was unconscious now, breathing shallow. Maya couldn't leave her, couldn't take her to a hospital without questions she couldn't answer, couldn't keep her without medical supplies. She made a decision that was probably stupid. She flagged down a firefighter. "I found her in the alley. She's hurt. I think she was in the building." The firefighter called for paramedics. They swarmed the woman, loaded her onto a stretcher, rushed her to an ambulance. "Miss, you need to give a statement," the firefighter said. Maya was already walking away. "Sorry, can't." "Ma'am." She ran. 6 blocks away, she found a 24-hour laundromat, ducked inside. There was an old man doing laundry and a teenager asleep in a plastic chair. Neither looked at her. She sat in the corner, pulled out her phone. The news was already breaking. Multiple outlets reporting simultaneously. Breaking. Federal investigation launched into alleged human trafficking ring. Cargo ship at center of organ harvesting claims. Warehouse fire linked to organized crime network. Photos from the Meridian Star were everywhere. The victims in their beds, the medical equipment, everything she and Jay had documented. Victor's face was on the screen now. Old photo from some charity event. The chyron read, "Suspected mastermind Victor Kwan sought for questioning." It was working. The story was too big to suppress, too documented to deny. Her phone buzzed. Another unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Hello?" "Ms. Carter." The voice was official, federal. "This is Special Agent Torres with the FBI. We need to talk." Maya's blood went cold. "About what?" "About the evidence you submitted. About the warehouse fire tonight. About Jay Kwan. I don't know what you're talking about. Ms. Carter, I'm looking at security footage from the Meridian Tower 3 nights ago. You're in it. I'm looking at photos time-stamped to a phone registered in your name. You're connected to this, and right now, you're either a witness or an accomplice. I'd prefer witness. Maya's mind raced. If I talk, what happens to the victims? The ones we recover will get medical treatment, immigration assistance, protection. And Jay Kwan? That depends on his level of involvement. If he's been running this operation, he wasn't. It was Victor. All of it. Jay tried to stop it. Then he should come in, make a statement. Let us sort it out. You'll arrest him. We'll protect him. There's a difference. Not to the people who want him dead. Agent Torres was quiet for a moment. Where are you right now? Maya looked around the laundromat. The old man was folding towels. The teenager was still asleep. Somewhere safe, she said. It won't stay safe. Victor Kwan has considerable resources. If he thinks you're a threat, he'll find you. Then you need to arrest him. We're trying. He's disappeared, along with most of his known associates. Of course he had. Victor was too smart to stick around while his empire burned. I can help you find him, Maya said. How? The financial records I sent you. The shell companies. He's been siphoning money for 18 months. That money's somewhere. Find it, you find him. We have people working on that. I can work faster. I found it once. I can find it again. Another pause. Ms. Carter, are you offering to cooperate? I'm offering to finish what I started, but I need guarantees. What kind of guarantees? Protection for the victims, full prosecution of everyone involved in the trafficking operation, and immunity for Jay Kwan in exchange for his testimony. I can't promise. Then we're done. Maya stood up. You've got the evidence. Do what you want with it. Wait, don't hang up. She waited. Let me make some calls, Torres said. I'll see what I can do. Can I reach you at this number? For the next hour. After that, I'm dumping it. Fair enough. Sit tight. The line went dead. Maya sat back down. Her whole body was shaking. She'd just negotiated with the FBI like she had any leverage at all. Like she wasn't a former analyst working service jobs who'd stumbled into something way over her head. But maybe that was the point. She had stumbled, and she'd kept going anyway. The phone rang again, 45 minutes later. Torres. Okay, he said. Here's what I can offer. You come in, make a full statement, help us track the money. In exchange, we offer protective custody, witness protection if needed, and we'll review Jay Kwan's case separately. If his involvement was limited to attempting to stop the operation, we can work something out. That's not immunity. It's the best I can do. The U.S. attorney won't sign off on blanket immunity for someone connected to a criminal organization, but cooperation goes a long way. It wasn't enough, but it might be all they'd get. I need to talk to Jay first, Maya said. You know where he is? No, but he'll contact me. When he does, tell him to come in. The longer he runs, the worse this looks. I'll tell him. She hung up, checked the time, 1:37 a.m. The longest night of her life, and it still wasn't over. The laundromat door opened. Maya's hand went to the gun in her pocket. But it was just a young mother with a toddler. Laundry basket balanced on her hip. Normal people doing normal things while Maya's world fell apart. She needed to move, needed to find somewhere less exposed. But exhaustion was pulling at her, making her thoughts slow and sticky. The phone buzzed. Text from Jay's earlier number, the one he'd used from the pier. News is everywhere. You did good. She typed back. Where are you? Safe, for now. FBI wants you to come in. I know. I'm watching the news. What'd they offer? Review, cooperation, not immunity. So prison. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, I'm done. Maya's fingers hovered over the keyboard. What does that mean? It means I'm tired. I've been running this organization for 10 years, fighting my uncle for the last 2. I'm ready for it to be over. Over how? No response for a long moment. Then, there's one more thing I need to do. Jay, don't. Victor's still out there. Still has resources, still has people willing to kill for him. As long as he's free, nobody's safe. Not the victims, not the witnesses, not you. Let the authorities handle it. They can't. He's too connected, too careful. He'll disappear into some country without extradition and rebuild. I've seen him do it before. So what are you going to do? Finish it. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got. The text thread went silent. Maya stared at the screen, willing him to say more, to explain, to promise he wasn't about to do something irreversibly stupid. Nothing. She called the number, went straight to voicemail. Jay, listen to me. Whatever you're planning, don't. Please. We've come this far. We can finish this the right way. She hung up knowing he wouldn't listen, because she wouldn't either if their positions were reversed. Maya found Jay 3 hours later, not because he'd told her where he was going, but because she knew how he thought now. Knew that a man planning to end things would go back to the beginning, the Meridian Tower, where it all started. She took a taxi to within 2 blocks, then walked the rest. The building was still standing, lights blazing in windows where people lived lives that had nothing to do with crime lords and human trafficking. Normal lives, the kind Maya used to have. The lobby security had been beefed up since their escape. 2 guards instead of 1, metal detectors, sign-in sheets. But there was a service entrance around back that Maya remembered from her waitressing days. Employee access. She still had the uniform in her bag, torn and filthy, but recognizable enough. She changed in an alley, walked up to the door like she belonged there. The guard barely looked up. "Late shift?" he asked. "Forgot something upstairs." He waved her through. The service elevator took her to the 47th floor, the penthouse level, where Jay had almost signed his life away 3 nights ago, where this whole nightmare had begun. She found him in the same conference room, standing by the windows, looking out at the city below. He'd changed clothes, dark jeans, dark jacket, the kind of outfit you wore when you didn't plan on being seen. "You shouldn't be here," he said without turning around. "Neither should you." "I'm tying up loose ends. By walking into the place where Victor almost killed you? He's not here. Nobody is. I had Marcus check. Victor cleared everyone out when the news broke. This whole floor is empty." Maya moved closer, saw what he was looking at. The city spread out like a circuit board, lights and movement, and millions of people who had no idea what had happened in this building, what was still happening. "I talked to the FBI," she said. "They want you to come in." "I know." "They'll work with you. If you cooperate, I'll spend 10 years in federal prison, maybe 15. That's if I'm lucky and they believe I wasn't running the trafficking operation. If they don't believe me, it's life." "You didn't do this. You tried to stop it." "I ran a criminal organization, Maya, for 10 years. The trafficking was Victor's, but everything else? The smuggling, the protection rackets, the money laundering? That was all me. I signed off on it, profited from it. The fact that I drew a line at organ harvesting doesn't make me innocent. So what, you're just going to disappear? Start over somewhere?" Jay turned to face her. He looked exhausted, older than his 32 years. "I can't start over. Victor knows every identity I could create, every contact I could use. He'll hunt me until one of us is dead. Then we make sure it's him." "How? He's gone underground. The feds can't find him. I can't find him. He's got money, resources. People loyal enough to hide him. He could stay hidden for years. Or he could make a mistake. He doesn't make mistakes. He made one." Maya pulled out her phone. "He underestimated you. And me. He thought we'd run or die. Instead, we burned his entire operation to the ground. That's going to make him angry. And angry people make mistakes." Jay studied her. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking Victor wants 2 things right now. To disappear safely and to make us pay. If we give him a chance at the second one, he might risk the first. You want to bait him out. I want to finish this. Actually finish it. Not leave him out there planning his comeback. It's too dangerous. Everything we've done has been too dangerous. We're still here." Jay looked back out the window. "If we do this, there's no guarantee we survive. Victor will bring everyone he has left. It'll be a slaughter. Not if we stack the deck." "How?" Maya pulled up the financial records on her phone. The shell companies, the offshore accounts. "I've been digging while I waited for you to contact me. Found something interesting. Victor's been moving money around since the news broke, liquidating assets, converting to cryptocurrency. He's building a run bag. So he has to access it somewhere. These kinds of transactions require physical authentication, biometrics, security keys. He can't do it remotely. You're saying you can trace where he'll be. I'm saying I can narrow it down to 3 locations. Banks with the kind of vault security he'd need. One's in the financial district, one's in Midtown, one's in the Harbor District. That's still 3 locations. We can't cover all of them. No, but the FBI can. Jay shook his head. They won't move on a hunch. They need probable cause. Then we give them probable cause. I contact Agent Torres. Tell him we're cooperating. Give him the locations. He puts teams on all 3. When Victor shows up, they grab him. And if he spots the surveillance? If he runs? Maya had thought about this. Then we make sure he doesn't run. We make sure he's too angry to think straight. How do we do that? She looked at Jay. We tell him you're going to testify, that you're turning over every record, every contact, every operation, that you're burning the entire organization to cooperate with the feds. Everything he built, everything your father built, gone. He'll want to kill me himself. Exactly. He won't be able to resist. He'll come out of hiding to make it personal. And when he does, the feds will be waiting. It was a terrible plan, full of holes and assumptions and ways it could go catastrophically wrong. But Jay was nodding slowly. We'd need to make it public, he said. The announcement that I'm cooperating has to be on the news, social media, places he'll definitely see it. I can make that happen. Agent Torres will jump at the chance for a public cooperation statement. Makes the Bureau look good. And puts a target on my back. Bigger than the one that's already there? Jay almost smiled. Fair point. Maya made the call. Agent Torres picked up on the second ring. Miss Carter, tell me you're somewhere safe. Safe enough. Listen, I can deliver Jay Kwan. Full cooperation. Statement, testimony, everything. When? Tomorrow morning. But I need something in exchange. We've been through this. I can't promise not immunity. I need you to put surveillance on 3 locations. Banks. I'll send you the addresses. Victor Kwan is going to hit one of them in the next 24 hours. Based on what intelligence? Based on financial records showing he's liquidating assets and he needs physical access to complete the transfers. He'll be there. You just need to be ready. Torres was quiet. Maya could hear him breathing, weighing it. If you're wrong, then you've wasted some manpower. If I'm right, you get the mastermind behind the biggest trafficking case in a decade. Seems like a good trade. Send me the locations. And Miss Carter, if this is some kind of setup, it's not. I want him caught as much as you do, maybe more. She hung up, sent the addresses, looked at Jay. Now we wait, she said. No. Now I go on camera and paint a target on myself. They drafted a statement in that empty conference room, kept it simple. Jay Kwan, former head of the Kwan crime family, was cooperating fully with federal authorities. He would provide testimony regarding all criminal activities, including the identities of associates, details of operations, and evidence of corruption. In exchange for his cooperation, he was seeking consideration from prosecutors. It was the kind of statement that would make every criminal in the city want him dead, especially Victor. Agent Torres arranged for a press conference at FBI headquarters, 9 a.m. Jay would read the statement, answer no questions, and be taken into protective custody immediately after. You understand this makes you a target, Torres said when they met him outside the building at 8:45. He was younger than Maya expected, maybe 40, tired eyes that had seen too much. I'm already a target, Jay said. Fair enough. We'll have teams at the 3 bank locations starting at 10 a.m. If Victor shows, we'll grab him. And if he doesn't, then we keep looking. But one way or another, this ends today. The press conference was chaos. Cameras everywhere, reporters shouting questions. Maya stayed in the background, watching Jay stand at a podium with the FBI seal behind him, looking smaller than she'd ever seen him. He read the statement in a flat, emotionless voice. Didn't elaborate, didn't excuse, just laid out the facts and stepped back. The questions came like a flood. Did you know about the trafficking? How long were you involved in criminal activity? Is your uncle Victor Kwan the mastermind? Jay didn't answer. Just let Torres field them while he was escorted out by federal marshals. Maya followed at a distance. They put Jay in an armored SUV, 3 vehicles in the convoy. She rode in the second one, wedged between 2 marshals who looked like they could stop bullets with their foreheads. Where are we going? She asked. Safe house. Undisclosed location. You'll both stay there until we have Victor in custody. Mush. The drive took 40 minutes. They ended up in a suburb Maya didn't recognize. Normal street, normal houses. The safe house looked like every other building on the block. That was probably the point. Inside, it was all business. Reinforced doors, security cameras, marshals in every room. Maya and Jay were separated immediately. Different floors, different handlers. Protocol? Torres explained. We keep witnesses isolated until we need them together. Maya was taken to a bedroom on the 2nd floor, plain furniture, barred windows. A marshal stationed outside the door. She sat on the bed and waited. An hour passed, then 2. Her phone had been confiscated. No contact with the outside world. She was beginning to understand what Jay had meant about prison. At 11:30, Torres came to her room. We've got activity at the Midtown location, he said. Individual matching Victor Kwan's description entered the bank 17 minutes ago. Teams in position outside. Have they grabbed him? Not yet. He's inside the vault. We're waiting for him to exit. Less chance of civilians getting hurt. Maya's pulse kicked up. How long does a transaction like that take? Depends. Could be minutes, could be an hour. Can I see Jay? Not yet. After we have Victor in custody. Torres left. Maya paced the small room, counting seconds. Somewhere across the city, Victor was accessing his stolen millions, getting ready to disappear forever. And federal agents were waiting to make sure he never got the chance. Her door opened again. The marshal from the hallway stepped in, and his expression made her stomach drop. Problem? She asked. Come with me. Now. He didn't explain, just grabbed her arm and pulled her into the hallway. Other marshals were moving fast, weapons drawn. Something had gone wrong. They took her downstairs. Jay was already there, flanked by 2 agents. His face was tight. What happened? Maya asked. Torres appeared, phone pressed to his ear, expression murderous. It wasn't him. What? The man at the bank looked like Victor, same build, same age. But when our team moved in, it was a double. Professional work, prosthetics, everything. A diversion, Jay said quietly. Yeah. And while we were focused on the Midtown location, the Harbor District Bank got hit. Vault accessed using Victor's biometric credentials. By the time our backup team got there, he was gone. Maya felt sick. How much did he get? We're still calculating, but it looks like he emptied multiple accounts, 30 million, maybe more. 30 million. Enough to disappear forever. Enough to rebuild somewhere beyond extradition. Enough to win. He played us, Maya said. He played all of us. Torres was looking at Jay now. Your cooperation bought us nothing. He's in the wind with enough money to never surface again. So that's it? Maya couldn't keep the anger out of her voice. He just wins? We'll keep looking, put out international alerts, but yeah, odds are he's gone. Jay stood up. No, he's not. Everyone looked at him. He's still in the city, Jay continued. He won't run until he knows I'm dead. That's speculation, Torres said. That's Victor. I know how he thinks. The money's just logistics. What matters to him is legacy. As long as I'm alive to testify, to tear down everything my father built, he can't rest. He'll stay. He'll wait for an opportunity. And when he sees one, he'll take it. So what are you suggesting? Give him an opportunity. Torres shook his head. Absolutely not. You're in federal custody. We're not using you as bait. You don't have a choice. He outmaneuvered you at the bank. He'll keep doing it. The only advantage you have is me. Use it. It's too risky. Oh, everything about this is risky. At least this way we control the variables. Maya watched Torres struggle with it. He was a by-the-book agent. This was not by any book. But Jay was right. Victor had beaten them once. He'd do it again unless they changed the game. What did you have in mind? Torres asked finally. Transfer, announced publicly. Moving me from this safe house to FBI headquarters for formal debriefing. Route and time posted to the media. Make it look like standard protocol. But really, it's a convoy designed to draw him out. You're talking about a mobile ambush. I'm talking about finishing this. And if it goes wrong? If he brings enough firepower to actually get through? Jay looked at Maya. Something passed between them. An understanding that they'd crossed too many lines to turn back now. Then you make sure he doesn't leave alive, Jay said. They set it up for 6 p.m., gave the press 4 hours to spread the word about the transfer. Enough time for Victor to hear about it and plan. Not enough time for him to plan well. The convoy was 3 vehicles again. Armored SUVs. But this time they had counter-surveillance units trailing. Snipers in buildings along the route. SWAT teams staged at key intersections. It was a trap disguised as a transfer. Maya insisted on being in the convoy. Torres fought her on it, but she wouldn't budge. I started this, she said. I'm seeing it through. So they put her in the lead vehicle with Jay, 4 marshals between them and the outside world. Bulletproof glass. Run flat tires. Every precaution. They pulled out of the safe house at exactly 6 p.m. The route took them through downtown, where traffic was thick and buildings loomed on both sides. Perfect ambush territory. For the first 10 minutes, nothing happened. Just normal traffic, normal city sounds. Maya felt her nerves stretch tighter with every block. Then the radio crackled. Contact. Black van, 2 vehicles back. No plates. Confirmed, another voice. Second vehicle, white sedan, passenger side. They're boxing us in, the driver said. Torres's voice came through. All units, weapons free if they make a move. Protect the primary vehicles. Maya looked at Jay. His face was calm, too calm, like he'd accepted what was coming. The black van accelerated, pulled alongside the middle SUV. Its side door rolled open. Gun! Someone shouted. The RPG round hit the middle vehicle's front end, the explosion massive and deafening. The SUV swerved, clipped a parked car, rolled. Metal screamed, glass shattered. Their driver slammed the accelerator. The SUV leaped forward, weaving through traffic. Behind them, gunfire erupted. The white sedan was shooting, taking out the rear vehicle's tires. We're compromised, the driver said. Can't make it to headquarters. Alternate route, Torres ordered over the radio. Get them to the... Static. The radio died. Jammer, one of the marshals said. They're blocking communications. Maya grabbed Jay's arm. This was the plan. Draw him out. Yeah, seems to be working. The driver took a hard left, tires screaming. They were in a warehouse district now. Fewer cars, more space for the chase vehicles to maneuver. The black van was still behind them, joined now by 2 motorcycles, riders with automatic weapons. Bullets punched through the rear window. The glass held but spiderwebbed. A marshal returned fire through a gun port. How far to back up, boss? Another marshal shouted. 2 minutes. Maybe less. They didn't have 2 minutes. The driver took them into a parking structure, spiraling up the ramps, tires shrieking. The chase vehicles followed. On the 3rd level, the driver spun them around, facing back the way they'd come. What are you doing? Maya asked. Giving them what they want. The black van appeared at the top of the ramp, stopped 50 feet away. Doors opened. 6 men got out. Professional. Armed. One of them was Chen, arm still in a sling, face twisted with hate, and behind them, stepping out last, was Victor. He looked tired. His suit was rumpled, his silver hair needed trimming, but his eyes were the same, cold and calculating. Jay, he called out, let's talk. One of the marshals raised his weapon. Stay in the vehicle, we've got this. But Jay was already opening the door. Don't! Maya grabbed him. This ends here, one way or another. He stepped out, hands raised, unarmed. The marshal scrambled out after him, weapons trained on Victor's group. A standoff in a parking garage, absurd and lethal. You made a mistake, Victor said, coming after my money. Your money? Jay's voice echoed in the concrete space. You stole it. From the organization. From the men who trusted you. I earned it. 30 years of building something real. Your father would have given it to me if he'd lived. You killed him. I liberated him. From his weakness. Same thing I'm doing for you now. Victor nodded to Chen. The man raised his weapon. The shot came from above. A sniper round caught Chen in the chest, dropped him instantly. Federal backup, staged on the levels above. Chaos erupted. Victor's men opened fire. The marshals returned it. The parking structure became a war zone of muzzle flashes and ricochets. Maya saw Jay dive behind the SUV, saw one of the marshals go down, saw Victor running, heading for the stairwell exit. She grabbed the fallen marshal's gun. Didn't think, just ran. After Victor. She caught him at the stairwell. He spun, surprised to see her. "The waitress," he said. "I really should have killed you when I had the chance." He moved fast for a man in his 60s, had a gun in his hand before Maya could raise hers. But she'd spent 3 days learning to shoot, learning to react. She fired first. The round caught him in the shoulder. He stumbled back against the wall, dropping his weapon. Blood spread across his expensive suit. Maya kept the gun trained on him. Her hands were shaking, but her aim was steady. "It's over," she said. "Is it?" Victor clutched his shoulder, smiling through the pain. "You think arresting me changes anything? The organization's gone. The men are scattered. The trafficking network is destroyed. You won. Congratulations. People died. People always die. That's the cost of doing business. You killed your own brother. I made a difficult choice, something you'll never understand." Behind them, the gunfire had stopped. Voices shouting. Footsteps on the stairs below. Victor looked at her. "You gonna shoot me? Or let the authorities handle it?" Maya's finger tightened on the trigger. It would be easy, one round, justice for the 225 people he'd murdered, for Jay's father, for everyone whose lives he'd destroyed. But she lowered the gun. "I'm not like you," she said. Federal agents poured into the stairwell, grabbed Victor, cuffed him, read him his rights while he bled onto the concrete. Torres appeared, taking the gun from Maya's hands. "You okay?" She wasn't sure. "Is Jay alive? Little banged up. You both are." They took Victor away. Maya watched him go, limping between two agents, his empire reduced to rubble. He didn't look back. She found Jay in the parking structure. He was sitting on the ground, back against the SUV, blood on his face from a cut above his eye. A paramedic was trying to check him over, but he kept waving her away. "You shot him," he said when he saw Maya. "Yeah." "Nice shot." "I was aiming for his chest." Jay laughed. Actually laughed. "Still counts." Maya sat down next to him. They stayed there while the authorities processed the scene, while ambulances came and went, while the sun set and the city lights came on below. "What happens now?" Maya asked. "Now I go to prison, probably for a long time." "Torres said they'd work with you, reduce the sentence." "Maybe, we'll see." "And Victor?" "Life, multiple life sentences if there's any justice." Jay looked at her. "What about you?" "I don't know. Agent Torres mentioned witness protection, new identity, fresh start somewhere else." "You should take it." "I'm thinking about it." They sat in silence. Two people who'd started as strangers, who'd survived things they shouldn't have, who'd torn down an empire because it was the right thing to do, even when it wasn't the smart thing. "Thank you," Jay said finally. "For what?" "For not walking away, in that conference room. You could have just kept quiet and none of this would have happened to you." "Yeah, well, I'm not great at keeping quiet. Lucky for me." The paramedic came back, more insistent this time. Jay let her bandage his head while Maya watched the city below. Somewhere down there, 40 people were in hospitals getting treatment. Dozens more had been saved from whatever fate Victor had planned. It wasn't enough. Could never be enough to balance the scales. But it was something. 7 months later, Maya sat in a coffee shop in Portland. Different city, different name, same face looking back at her from the mirror, though she'd cut her hair short and dyed it darker. Witness protection had set her up with a new identity. Elena Rodriguez, junior financial analyst at a tech startup. Boring job. Quiet life. Safe. She missed the danger sometimes, the clarity of purpose, knowing exactly what she was fighting for. But mostly, she didn't. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "Heard you're doing well. Glad." No signature. Didn't need one. She'd recognized Jay's pattern of speech anywhere. He'd gotten 18 months in minimum security. Cooperation had worked in his favor. The testimony he'd provided had helped dismantle what was left of the organization. Victor was in ADX Florence Supermax, no possibility of parole. Chen and the others were scattered through the federal system. The victims had been harder to track. Some had recovered, some hadn't. A few had gone home to their families. Many had no families left to go home to. Maya tried not to think about them too much. Tried not to calculate the cost in lives against the lives saved. She typed back, "You out early? Good behavior. Where are you? Figuring that out. You? West Coast, that's all you get. Fair enough. Take care of yourself. You too." The conversation ended there. No promises to meet up, no declarations. Just two people who'd survived something together, acknowledging they were both still breathing. Maya finished her coffee, went back to her apartment. Small place. One bedroom. Plants in the window that she kept forgetting to water. Normal life things. That night she dreamed about the parking structure. About the moment she'd had Victor in her sights and chosen not to pull the trigger. In the dream, she made the other choice. Watched him fall. Felt nothing. She woke up gasping. The truth was messier than any dream. She'd wanted to kill him. Part of her still did. But she'd chosen to be the person who didn't, who let the system handle it, flawed as it was. Not because she was better than Victor, but because she was trying to be. Some days that felt like enough. Some days it didn't. 2 years after that, Maya was working at a nonprofit. Financial crimes investigation. Pro bono work for victims of fraud and exploitation. Using the skills she'd learned at Lehman for something that mattered. Her supervisor was a former federal prosecutor named Chen. Different Chen. No relation. But the name still made her flinch sometimes. "You okay?" he asked one day, noticing her reaction. "Yeah, just déjà vu. You've got good instincts. Ever think about going back to the private sector? You could make real money." Maya looked at the case files on her desk. Small frauds, insurance scams, nothing like the $120 million operation she'd helped take down. But real people getting hurt, real lives she could help fix. "I'm good where I am," she said. That night she got a letter. No return address, postmarked from somewhere in Europe she didn't recognize. Inside was a single page, Jay's handwriting. "I'm teaching English in Prague. Turns out Victor was right about one thing. I do like it here. Started going by my mother's maiden name, Kim. Nobody knows who I was. Nobody cares. It's quiet, strange, sometimes good. Met someone, not serious, but nice. She teaches at the same school, laughs at my jokes even when they're terrible. Makes me want to be the person she thinks I am." I think about that night sometimes. The conference room. The moment you spoke up. One person seeing something wrong and refusing to look away. Changed everything. I'm trying to be that person now, the one who doesn't look away. It's harder than it sounds, but I'm trying. Hope you're well. Hope you found whatever you were looking for. You deserved better than getting pulled into my mess. For what it's worth, I'm glad you were. Take care. Jay. Maya read it 3 times, then put it in a drawer with other things from that life. Photos she'd kept, news clippings, reminders that it had all been real. She never wrote back. Didn't need to. The letter wasn't asking for a response. Just closing a loop, saying the thing that needed saying. 5 years after the warehouse burned, Maya was 31 years old. Different name, different city, different life. She had friends who knew nothing about what she'd done. Colleagues who respected her work. A studio apartment with plants she actually remembered to water. Some mornings she woke up and forgot. Just for a moment. Forgot that she'd once climbed down a building in a storm. Once shot a man. Once burned an empire to ash because it was the right thing to do. Those moments never lasted, but they came more often now. And maybe that was its own kind of victory. Not forgetting, just learning to carry it lighter. She'd saved 40 lives. Lost count of how many had died before she could stop it. The math would never balance. But she'd done what she could, and then she'd done more. And that had to be enough. Because the alternative was giving up, becoming the kind of person who looked away when someone needed help, who saw injustice and chose convenience. And Maya had learned something in that conference room 7 years ago, when she'd interrupted a business meeting to point out a hidden clause that would have destroyed a stranger's life. She'd learned that the choice to speak up or stay silent defined who you were, not your job, not your past, not your mistakes, just that single moment when you saw something wrong and decided whether it was your problem. She'd made it her problem, and it had cost her everything she'd built: career, identity, safety, normal life. But it had also given her something: purpose, the knowledge that when it mattered, she'd been the person who didn't look away. Some people might call that redemption. Maya thought of it differently. She hadn't needed redemption. She'd needed a reason to believe she mattered. Turned out all she'd needed to do was act like she did. The rest followed. Somewhere in Prague, a man who used to run a criminal empire was teaching English to teenagers, learning to be someone new, someone better. Not because he'd earned it, but because he was trying. Somewhere in Portland, a woman who used to be nobody was helping people nobody else cared about. Not because it paid well, but because she remembered what it felt like to be forgotten. They'd never see each other again. Didn't need to. They had already given each other the only thing that mattered: a choice, and the courage to make it. The rest was just living with the consequences. And maybe, eventually, learning to live with themselves.